Hola, buenas noches, bienvenidos a nuestro segundo programa de Todo Rock. Hoy es un programa especial puesto que tenemos nuestra primera entrevista internacional con Joel Ellis, quien fuera vocalista de Cats in Boots y Heavy Bones. Pero antes de eso, vamos a lo último con nuestro amigo Adrián Mora de Insomnio. Como
gracias.
siempre, bienvenido y muchas gracias por venir a compartir nuevos materiales, nuevos tirajes. Y empezamos, mae. Démosle a esto. Aquí tenemos...
Claro, queríamos empezar con unos discos que en realidad salieron en el 80 y el 81.
Excelente.
Y son muy importantes porque, bueno, acaban de salir en LP y son las primeras grabaciones de Bruce Dickinson de Iron Maiden. Antes de entrar a Iron Maiden
y hacer
sí.
el Number of the Beast.
Correcto. Esos discos se grabaron al mismo tiempo que Maiden lanzaba su disco debut y el Killers. Y son discos de New Wave of British Heavy Metal muy buenos.
Que en ese tiempo, después de Judas Priest, muchos grupos empezaron a tratar de seguir esa ola, ¿verdad?
Claro, de hecho el cambio se nota en estos discos porque ya para el primero tenían un sonido más setentero.
Más setentero, bluesero, ¿verdad?
Todavía sí, y ya para el segundo ya empieza a verse la influencia de Judas Priest más moderno.
Hasta de Deep Purple.
Entonces, para un coleccionista de Iron Maiden,
claro,
estos discos son una joya, y además de que no se conseguían en LP de ninguna forma, y ahora los tenemos en LP de colores y
fijo, todo. Ok. Y seguimos por aquí. ¡Qué discazo! ¡Qué discazo! Esto es una nueva reedición, ¿correcto?
Exactamente.
Skid Row.
Ese es otro disco que no se conseguía en LP desde hace 1000 años y que, bueno, a los coleccionistas nos parece que es una pieza fundamental.
El Slave to the Grind es un disco que todo el mundo debería tener. O sea, si gustas me haces los honores para que la gente vea.
Claro. Es uno de los mejores discos de Skid Row. Es un disco
impresionante. Doble platino.
Sí, doble platino.
Producido por Michael Wagner, ese famoso productor, ¿verdad? Que en las manos de él estuvo desde Skid Row, estuvo White Lion, creo que estuvo Dokken por ahí, que estuvo... ¿Quién no estuvo? Metallica, Ride the Lightning y el Master of Puppets pasaron por las manos de Michael Wagner y hacernos el honor
y
para
estos nuevos tirajes son muy interesantes porque les decíamos que vienen en color, entonces este disco viene en este color que es
chivísima,
como un
claro,
naranja, café.
Disco que salió en el 91, ¿verdad? Correcto. Y hasta donde me da la memoria, creo que para ese disco salieron de gira con Pantera. Pantera andaba con el Cowboy from Hell. Y en algún momento también anduvieron de gira con Guns N' Roses. Ahí fue donde Axel y Sebastián hicieron tan buena amistad que, si no me equivoco, hasta la fecha sigue esa amistad.
Para los que quieren completar su colección, también tenemos el Subhuman Race del 95 que salió en LP azul y que es un disco también bastante difícil de conseguir.
Claro,
y el último es Brujería, que es un disco que salió este año.
Brujería. Esto es
Brujería. Un dato interesante es que ese disco salió el 15 de septiembre y precisamente ese día Brujería estuvo aquí en Costa Rica tocando en vivo ahí en Club Peppers justo el día del lanzamiento.
Justo el día del lanzamiento oficial.
Exactamente, y es un disco que está bastante bueno, sigue en la línea de los anteriores, a los fans viejos les va a encantar. Y todavía en la banda tenemos a Juan Brujo y a Pinche Pitch, y por supuesto a uno de los miembros más importantes que en Brujería se llama Hongo, pero que en realidad es Shane Embury de Napalm Death. Brujería desde hace rato maneja una vocalista femenina y ahora la cambiaron, y la muchacha nueva es una actriz que se conoce por su trabajo en una serie de Netflix que se llama Orange is the New Black.
Bueno, y me contabas que vamos a regalar en su versión CD. Bueno, y ya saben, ingresar a teletica.com, micrositio Sabana, y ahí se van a encontrar una trivia, por supuesto, para pegarse el CD. Mae, y ¿Has escuchado Joel Ellis, Cats in Boots, Heavy Bones?
En realidad sí, eso me trae recuerdos de hace 1000 años.
Inicios de los 90s,
sí,
finales de los 80s.
Tengo todavía el disco de Heavy Bones en cassette.
Tenés el cassette del Heavy Bones.
Ajá, exactamente.
Eso vale plata, porque ese disco casi que es de culto. El único disco que sacaron es un discazo. Lástima que lo sacaron justamente donde todo el grunge venía creciendo, ¿verdad?
Sí, es una lástima porque es un disco bastante bueno,
Discazo,
muy recomendado.
Discazo y super músicos tenía ahí, ¿verdad?
Exactamente.
Bueno, sin más, vámonos a ver la entrevista de Joel Ellis, mae. Y demasiadas gracias como siempre, mae.
Siempre es un
Pura
gusto
vida,
estar aquí.
buena nota, vámonos a la entrevista. Joel, welcome.
Hey, finally, huh?
So this is your, like what, second time here in Costa Rica? Or?
That I can remember. I've been here a few times. Dominical, Punta Arenas, up to Guanacaste. It's my first time over in Limon.
Okay.
So I'm actually in Cojuita.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Cojuita.
You left the country.
Cojuita.
Yeah. First topic, which is your new release, right?
Okay.
I know that there's a bunch of songs, right? You told me there's new versions, there's new songs, remakes.
Yeah, it's the whole melting pot of all the outtakes. So initially, after Cats and Boots, I began working out of my apartment studio in Hollywood, and it was 9 times out of 10 it was a party going on. But we were working on the songs, writing a lot of the new ideas. A lot of them didn't make the record, so they got cut from the record, but the majority of them, we started working in the Hollywood Hills at the Fuller House apartment. And at the time, I was living with Stephen Pearcy from Ratt. He was my roommate, okay? And,
Red Bone.
Just right down the street from Eddie Van Halen's house, and right up the street from Sunset Boulevard, so it was very conducive. It was a great time in music.
You got old songs that you wrote with Gary, right? There's a lot
most
of songs
of them
that
with Gary. Yeah, most of them. There's some that I wrote with Craig Goldie from Dio is on there. A couple of songs I wrote with my guitarist from Mary Hoax, Denny Michaels.
Oh man!
Rest in peace. The record is called The Real Heavy Bones.
The Real Heavy
The
Bones.
Real Heavy Bones, because it's the only recording produced of all members playing live. Even though we're in our pre-production studio. It's all original members. It's Frankie and Rex and Gary and me just wailing live, captured live. And then Warner Brothers contacted me about possibly reissuing. These recordings they're a treasure. They're really good stuff.
Yeah.
In Cleveland, I found a great studio, and along with it came my partner, Mike Jaworski. He's actually a production partner for other projects we plan to do, but Mike had a magic about him, and so we're doing the entire record at his studio in Cleveland, Ohio. It's called Defunk Studio, and so we're working on him, making a 4-volume box set. So volume 1 and 2 are going to be all of the brand new songs never heard. Then volume 3 is all the early demos, the home demos, the alternate versions. And then volume 4 is going to be the reissue of certain select songs from the Warner Brothers masters. So it's Joel Ellis, Mike Jaworski, Defunct Studios, The Real Heavy Bones. That's the way it should be.
I know you have a lot of cool rock and roll stories, man. I know you've been hanging out with Stephen Pearcy, which you already give us the name. I know about Eddie Van Halen, Jason Bonham. Man, would you tell us some cool stuff?
Stephen and I are definitely good buddies. And I had an apartment up in Hollywood. We called it the Fuller House. And it was a 2-bedroom apartment. It was for me and whoever else was there. And I had some interesting roommates over the years. Eric Moore, the singer of The Gods. He came in, and I also want to give Eddie all the respect in the world. He was an amazing guy. He was a lot of fun. One night, Eddie was at the house, and we decided to head up to 5150 at his house. You know, after a long night of hanging out, he was like, "I'm in no shape to drive, you drive." You know, so I got behind the wheel of his Porsche, and we start banging gears up Laurel Canyon on winding roads, and I'm hitting the gears hard, right? We're zooming around these winding curves all the way up Laurel Canyon. He says, "Pull over, pull over, pull over." So I pull over, I go, "Oh, I'm driving too crazy." He goes, "You drive like an old lady," and he hits it, and
no way.
We head up. So anyways, on the way up there, we get up on Mulholland, and he's like, "You want to sing for Van Halen?" I'm like, "Yeah, I was cranky." He's like, "Sing to this." And ironically, he cranks up, what's the song? Hot, Sweet, and Sticky, Rock Candy, Sammy Hagar's tune. So I'm singing away too, you know, "'Cause you're hot, sweet, and sticky," you know. And so just wailing us, and we slid off the road, and we get to his house. But he wanted me to come in and sing for Van Halen, but you know that all the sirens and alarms went off and said, "Nope, you two guys are too toxic together." So, so they 86'd me from that. Yeah, I think Valerie had me 86'd from the house, but they're right. They were right. And if I would have ended up going into Van Halen, then it would have, it wouldn't have been good.
Why you think it's so important working with a producer? Because the reality here, or what producer means here, is the guy who's recording.
What you referred to as a producer from my experience and throughout the music industry in the U.S., that's an engineer. So you have your engineer. It runs the controls. A producer, may have experience as an engineer, but overall a producer is somebody with a vision. But moreover, back in the day, the record companies, if you remember, they were throwing millions at the bands and the projects. Both of my deals with EMI and Warner Brothers were over $2 million up front. That's a lot of money for a record company to just throw out there and say, "Here, you guys go make a record for a band." The record company wants to have a professional in there with a proven track record or a certain type of flavor or vision or style that they trust. In terms of just a producer by nature, I think it's very important, I think, for a band to work with somebody kind of like the fifth Beatle, like a George Martin. If you look at what George Martin brought to the Beatles, they exponentially just expanded creatively with all the orchestrations and everything and then they had Jeff Emmerich, who was a great engineer, and he was brilliant. A producer should get to know all the characteristics and qualities, the chemistry. A producer should be there to see a chemistry. Well, you can't have an unbiased opinion of the chemistry of the band if you ask the musicians,
of course.
Right? So a producer will be the unbiased guy, and he'll say, "Okay, this is really the chemistry of the band, and this is where the value is, and this is where I want to try to draw everybody's creativity and pull this out of them." So he knows what to pull out of the artist. The producer is the one who's going to say, "Okay, this is the shared vision we have." Of course, communicate it, not take control. But it's very important. A lot of musicians feel threatened, to work with a producer, but they should really welcome it. But before you get in the studio with a producer, you've really got to be a fan of what that guy can do.
Greatness is not a thing about luck or gift. It's about hard work.
Oh, yeah. A long time ago, before I actually went into music professionally, I was a young kid, and I was driving a limousine for a mob boss in Beverly Hills. And so he would take me around to all the swank parties and clubs and that, and the Playboy Mansion, this and that, all the undergrounds. So one night I was in there, and Stevie Wonder came in unexpectedly, but I was sitting at his table. It was a place called Nick's Fish Market in Beverly Hills. Just the swankiest. It was nothing but gangsters and actors and stars in there. And so I was just a young kid, and so I was sitting in there with a friend of mine, and he was way across the room at the front door, and they came in, and the maitre d's like, "Oh, Joel," he goes, "I'm so sorry." He goes, "I didn't know Stevie was coming tonight. I have to move you. I hope you don't mind. I'll give you a great table." So from across the room, Stevie said, "No, let them stay." He heard us from across the room, and so he sat. But that day, he leaned over and he told me something. He said, "Tell me what you think is the important recipe for success." And he went on to explain to me that opportunity and preparation are the two. Hard work, you have to be born with it. But what he said is preparation, meaning prepare yourself for who you truly are as an artist. Yeah. Don't prepare yourself to be like someone else. Yeah. You know, you may have your influences, this one inspires you. Don't try to force yourself into a mold just to fit a certain type of music, and don't do it to be successful. Do it to be an artist, because there's a big difference between an artist and a musician. You have to know that. Realizing your artistic character, you have to stay true to it, and you have to develop it, and don't let anybody steer you aside either way, and don't be swayed by the opportunities. So you have preparation, you stay true to yourself, and then there's opportunities. So you don't want to jump at every opportunity. You want to be able to accept an opportunity that's going to allow this character to succeed. You can develop yourself in many ways, but it takes a hell of a lot of work. It takes a hell of a lot of work. Like in my case, I started in the streets of Cleveland, but I started singing, and I didn't know how to sing. You know, I screamed until my vocal cords bled, you know, and they just kept getting stronger and stronger. I just kept reaching for heights with my voice and tones for my voice, and I kept doing it. And then all through Cats and Boots, just beat the hell, beat the hell out of my chords, right? But I developed character. It's like any instrument, really. The voice is probably the most difficult. It really is. And you have to stay in shape. Stay in shape and stay true to yourself.
Joel, thank you very much, brother.
Sure, man.
A pleasure. Big pleasure.
Thanks.
Big pleasure.
Thanks for having me here in San Jose, Costa Rica.
Bueno, y esa fue la entrevista con Joel Ellis, pero seguimos aquí en el programa y vamos con la agenda. Y hoy tenemos a nuestro amigo Ernesto Santamaría de Black Line, que nos viene a hablar de ese chivazo que es dentro de pocos días, Glenn Hughes. Exacto. Con su gira 50 aniversario del disco Burn de Deep Purple.
Es correcto, bien como lo decís, ya es el viernes este gran concierto con un ícono del rock y todos los que llamamos este género. Va a venir completamente el disco de principio a fin, uno de los discos más icónicos de Deep Purple, que es el Burn.
Lo va a tocar todo completo. Más o menos, ¿cuánto tienen calculado que va a durar el show?
Más o menos dura como el set list, alrededor de 2 horas 10 minutos.
Sí, que es...
Sí,
bastante.
Obviamente le mete un poquito más de interpretación, habla con el público y demás, entonces ahí alarga un poquito más el tiempo, pero más o menos ese es el tiempo.
Los que vamos a estar ahí, vamos a ver a un mae de la realeza del rock, o sea, de los pesos pesados, o sea, 72 años Glenn Hughes y todavía anda en gira.
Claro, es un artista muy completo, desde sus inicios, Deep Purple cuando estuvo en su periodo de tiempo, el paso fugaz por Black Sabbath, las colaboraciones que ha tenido con Tommy, con Whitesnake, bueno, en fin, tiene demasiadas
Black Country Communion, que estábamos hablando ahora, discazos que sacaron ahí, Bonamassa, Jason Bonham, o sea, qué alineación se llegó a armar Don Glenn. Horarios, puertas, ¿cómo va a estar? Precios.
Ok, bueno, los horarios, puertas va a ser desde las 6 de la tarde, desde las mismas 6 de la tarde se va a vender entradas en boletería.
Ok.
Tienen un precio de general de 26,000 colones y de VIP, la zona VIP, 36,000 colones. Ahí, bueno, abre una banda, un poquito para tener variado.
Sí, lo que claro, claro. ¿Quién va a ser el telonero?
Shooter, banda noruega de black metal.
Ajá, ok.
Es como para un poquito ahí, para los que les gusta variar un poco.
Un contraste interesante en un solo concierto.
Para satisfacer todos los gustos, por así decirlo. Sí, claro. Un viernes, al sábado podemos descansar, entonces va a estar muy bonito
¿Nos tenés algunas entraditas ahí para la gente que nos está viendo?
Claro que sí, vamos a dar 2 entradas en la zona VIP, van a ser 2 ganadores.
Para participar en estas entradas entran a teletica.com, micrositio Sabana, y ahí les va a aparecer una trivia. Mae, Ernesto, demasiadas gracias, mae, y esperamos vernos ahí en el concierto y disfrutar de esa leyenda.
No, más bien, muchas gracias por la invitación y estar atentos a las redes de nosotros, que el otro año venimos con mucho rock, metal, festivales y muchísimo más.
Y tienen las puertas abiertas para venir a anunciar y regalar unas entraditas, que
claro,
es lo que nos gusta. Y más bien, demasiadas gracias, nos vemos el siguiente miércoles. Pura vida, Todo Rock.